All right, hey everybody, DayTraderRockStar here for a little after hours research session before movie night. The movie night starts at about 8 o'clock, so we have about 20 minutes to just kind of wrap up the day and look at some stocks for tomorrow. Doing this live, so if you're on the site in the chat room, I don't have it up. I'm just going to try to focus on this and try to make it one run through and stuff. All right, interesting day today. We had the sell-off. Stochastic started rotating over to daily, which haven't been, you know, they haven't been oversold in a long time, since February basically. We got close to it in March. April pretty strong, and now we're starting to roll over. We had a decent bounce, and again, I kind of go over the day today. We kind of expected to bounce around 11:30. That's what I was waiting for before going long. We ended up getting that bounce at 12 o'clock, and it was actually pretty much a 5-minute little setup too. You can see there was a divergence here. This is on the 5-minute time frame, so it was a 9-3 divergence. It was the right call. I ended up picking up some SPY calls and picking up an MES contract, and we took it all the way up. If we look at the S&P, the futures contract here, if we take a look at the futures contract, you can see where we had that initial bounce here. Kind of jumped the gun here, getting in right around 11:30. Popped and pulled back, but felt pretty good about this level. Then we got that breakout, and from that point on was the bottom. So it came in a little before 12, but I think we were on the right track on this. Nice downward trend line was broken, and then we started moving back up. Held our position all the way up into the VWAP, and then sold it first touch of the VWAP, and we kind of banged against that. And then I figured we might pull back, but then decided to maybe to take a short, and I said, you know, the market's pretty strong here. I want to get out of that. Just took it off and was watching for the market to move higher, and we got that little pop, and this is where we are right now. After hours, futures are flat, and you know, going back to that daily chart on the SPX, and this is actually the 5-minute chart in the S&P. You can see that 5-minute divergence on the cash. That was key. That was a big area right there. We had a nice bounce. Now, what do we have for us tomorrow? 60-minute got oversold. We had a nice aggressive bounce off of that. What I liked about this is that the daily, we held that 20-period moving average, which has been very strong. And the only time we've broken through that 20-period moving average when there was some kind of fear in the market, be it, I don't know, I forget what caused some things, some issues. But you know, it caused a pullback, and we got that oversold, very close to oversold here, and very close to oversold here on the daily before bouncing back up. The majority of the time, we've actually held that 20-period moving average. If we go back here, since November, we banged it, hit it. Very rarely we break down under it, and if we did, we really held that 50 and bounced back up. And then we actually had a nice pullback, and we have a big established trend line here. So, you know, going into tomorrow, we're going to play it kind of the same way. But there is some good stock setting up. Now, just to kind of go over the setups I took today, just again, out of the gate. Didn't do much other than, let's see, out of the gate, what do we do? Let me go back to my today would be May the 4th to be with you. So, I ended up picking up 2 Boeing calls, 235 calls at $5 an A, and I like that Boeing setup down here. I was surprised at the breakdown, but all of a sudden we had a big reversal, and that's the first stock going on the list tomorrow, because we had a nice volume spike today. It was trading about 135, 140% volume, and we want to, when we see a nice reversal candle, and this qualifies for reversal candles, we want our tail here, you know, that tail between, it's like that thing should be twice the distance, you know, twice the length of the body, and it should take out the previous, we'll call it 7 to 10 days. I like to see, I mean, the more you take out, the more lows you take out, the better, and then you reverse back up and you close higher. It's just a good sign. And the volume was okay. It was like I said, about 100, and I think 35% volume. It wasn't tremendous, you know, kind of big reversal volume. It was 150% volume, but it was good, and I like to see that. So tomorrow, I'm expecting a rally in this. we're holding pretty good unless we have any bad news. Of course, that news trumps everything. But you know, been waiting for this to break out. I think, you know, tomorrow if we could break out of this 4-day consolidation, 4 or 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5-day consolidation. This is exactly what we look for. A situation where you buy 5 to 7 days after earnings, and this is exactly what we did. We have the 5-day pullback going into the 5 to 7 day pullback after earnings, gap down, and we look for that reversal. And you know, this is looking really good for tomorrow. So I'm very happy with that. And again, I have a target on the HPS watch list, which goes out to members. We have that. Oh, that's a good one too. This is. Do we have that? This is waking up and looking at the portfolio today. Love that. Here it is. Let's see. That's Cloudflare. We're going to talk about that one in a second. But these are the stocks that we prepare for the week. Boeing is not ready until I'm gonna somehow get this chart over here a little bit better for you. There we go. Come on. There we go. So here's our Boeing. You can see the nice downward turn. Now let's see what it looks like on the HPS. Now again, this is all programmed into our platform, so you get that. And look where we came down to. If you had looked at this before, you actually saw that there was a nice underlying channel line. I put this out on last Friday, Saturday, for the weekend to get us ready. And look at this. Look at this move. This is actually pretty impressive. I didn't look at the HPS during this. I'm waiting for this 237.70 to be broken. I think that's going to still hold up. Now, we extend this trend line down. We'll watch this trend line. We might get a better feel for it for a break above 236.50. But still, I want to say we break that 237.70. Let's get it going. I'll get ready for a blast off on this. So interesting chart. Looks pretty good. Let's go to the next one. That's earnings coming out this for this week too. I just happen to have this on the screen here. So a couple other things we did today. So we did the Boeing. Boeing ended up closing. We're still holding on to. We're up about. Let me see what we're up on that. Just picked up 2 contracts, and up 100 and what are we up on this? $310. $310. Picked up 502. Closed at about 670. 670. So I'd like to see this there continue to run. Very happy with it. What else did we do? Let's go back to the videotape here. So the Boeing, after that, we ended up picking up the SPY calls. And again, I pulled that off the 1130 reversal. Ended up holding those, and they worked out good. Again, with the SPY calls, we looked at the SPY. The 1130 close and the big nice move up here, and we took profits in that, made almost a couple $100 on that. And then we had a trigger on the HPS setups on NET and ET. NET had a nice little pullback, and this is what we were looking for, a pullback to the trend line. This starts our entry zone where we're looking to be alerted to if we get down into this zone right here. It's called the X marks the spot. We have a rising trend line, a falling trend line. You know, I didn't take the position. I wanted to see how it reacts down here. I was hoping maybe we get a pushback to the lower trend line here, which would probably be around $77, $76, $77. That would be key. I think that would definitely be in this at that point. But, you know, we might actually hold this. This is typical of what I like to call a channel breakout, stochastic. Well, it's not a rotation yet, but a trend line retracement. And So we'll watch that one going forward. I'm still liking it, but I haven't moved on it yet. So that triggered around, what time did that trigger? That triggered around 11:37. And after that, we ended up picking up Discovery, DISCA. That ended up closing up nice. Now, it's not a big mover, but it had a nice rally at the end of the day. They're actually pulling back here after hours, but on no volume. So it held up okay. You know, considering what the market was doing, it held up okay. It has the potential of a divergence here. I picked up the 2 calls on this. The 35 calls. It's trading at 36, so it's just going to push up. If we get a nice move tomorrow, we'll make money on it. It's really for a trade for the next couple of days and see if we call that right. Then we sold the SPY. Sold the SPY there. And then let's see what else we have next. Sold the SPY, and then I ended up buying, up against that VWAP. I ended up going short, but I took it off pretty fast. I was in it for about 20 minutes. It didn't really do much. I got out of it flat, and then this is a good trade. So I ended up, wondering what we're going to do about Activision. I really liked Activision a lot here. I wanted to take a position in it, but I don't like trading the options because they pop and drop. So I figured I'd get in 50 shares before the close and trade it into the earnings. So what we do with that is just buy it, and I put an order in to sell at 91, considering, thinking we could get a pop before we sell off. Well, we got the pop to 91, took the profits, whatever we got on that, 130, so I forget what that was, 100 and something dollars, let me double check that. Activision. About $147 on that, and that was just trading 50 shares, and that held up pretty good. So picking our spots, I think that was important today. Having patience today was really, really important. Now, not that everything was rosy. My stocks that I were holding, they got hurt. There's no doubt about that. They got hurt. The EXEL got hammered today, along with a lot of drug companies. They all got hammered. If you take a look at the LABU, that really sold off hard. A lot of stocks, AUPH, everything here really sold off. Trying to find something that didn't really sell off. It's hard to do. So that put a dent in the portfolio, and then I have a pretty big position on that. I have the PRAA, holding that into earnings, and I'm excited that earnings are going to come out on the Thursday on this one. And that had a breakout, and it actually had a follow through, which we were looking for, and it kind of sold off at the end of the day. But still, this is really our earnings play, so not doing anything with that. And then let's see what else we have. Of course, we have some of our DGNR. EXEL, we went over that. I have a little Wise Key. Not much going on with those. I have my puts in the CVM, which is a higher risk short, but it's a short that has limited risk here. It's not a naked short or anything. I have puts on this, which mean I can only lose the value of the puts if this thing goes and screams. But if it doesn't scream and gets crushed, if they miss their trial, then I expect this thing to trade down to, under $4, maybe $5. So I have the CVM. I have the 17 puts on this, and I think I have some other ones. What else do I have? I thought I had 1750 puts. I thought I had some other ones. I don't. Oh, there it are. Yeah, and 16. I have the 15. Actually, I have the 15 puts and the 1750 puts. Now, they're May 21st, and if they don't come out with any news, negative news, and I'm not hoping for negative news, but I've seen these things, fail more than they have, so I'm just taking a shot on that. I made some serious good cash on shorting some decisions like this, and the stocks just get hammered. And this thing has been at a 10-year trial for the last 10 years, so they got a lot of things riding on this. So if they miss it or something, this thing is gone. This thing is, I figured, you know, what the hell. I actually did take it long back here, and we got a nice run on it, and I took profits. That was the game plan. Look for a pop first, pre-pop, you know, manipulate this thing higher, and then take profits and then go short. So, you know, first part of it worked out. I'm now currently short with some puts, and those will be a little bit harder to see if they work out. The jaws I have on the list for tomorrow is showing great relative strength, JWS. And again, just waiting for this to pop. And you can see the line here. This line is like 13.13. It's like lucky 13, 13.19, 13.20. I'll bring it down on the 60-minute time frame. And you can see this trend line here. After hours, it looks like it has a little candle, but I wouldn't put much into that. Actually, it's closed back here. But this trend line, I'd be watching. Closing price, top tick there, closing price, hit into here, closing, hit into there, hit into here. This is a good one. So really, if we could actually break through the, what did I call it? Maybe 1330 area. This thing could go. It has a SPAC, you know, pedigree, so it is kind of a stale stock. But I do like the company. It's a good company. It needs to get through this. Still holding it. Just an update on it. It acted pretty good today. The pay safe sold off and then came back okay. Again, holding the position in that. You can see where that came down. That actually came back. Technically speaking, it has a HPS setup. It had to break out of the channel. First pullback to the trend line. You buy, and not much. You know, we didn't tag it perfect tag. It had a nice bounce. See what happens. I hear a market here is actually, we are in the rock bot is trading a divergence right now. It just took profits. That's what you heard in the back. So I expect the market to be popping here. So let's take a look. Yeah, it popped up a little. It was in a divergence trade right here. As you can see, a divergence trade is one of our key trading things. So we dealt pretty good today. We dealt with the futures. We took MES. We did SPY calls. We bought some stock. We did earnings. We did a lot of things today with the market being down. Not much else. I have some other stocks on the list I want to just go over for you. My best bet by far tomorrow is going to be Boeing. I think we get follow through on Boeing based off the reversal candle and the volume. So Boeing's going to lead the list. We went over that. These other ones, but a couple new ones I just want to bring to your attention. FERN, FERN. This is a cheap one. It's another micro penny. Starting to move up. I haven't done my research on it yet. I have it written down here. I'm going to do some research when the movie's on tonight, and I'll look into it a little bit more. But just bringing it to your attention because you know, I'm just looking. It showed up on one of my scans, and it just looks strong. And then 12 RETC Corporations, another one. And this looked into it. It had a nice pop back here. It's a micro penny. It went from 0.3 of a penny to a penny. You know, it's funny to even talk about micro pennies, but you know, it's throwing it out there for you. You know, if I come across something that looks interesting, I want to make sure it gets to the members. It's not like I'm focused back on the pennies here, but I am starting to look at a few of them. Cliff Natural Resource, CLF, I believe, had earnings this morning. I'm not, but you know, the setup is really good. I wrote this down because this is a classic trading chart that we trade off of. This nice trend line here is really established. We gapped above it, came back, tagged it, came back again, tagged it. This was the underlying trend line. Remember, we were just looking at a what was the one we were looking at just before? Let me go back here. I gotta go all the way back. All right. Well, let's see. Shoot. There's a lot of stocks that have popped and then pulled back to their trend lines. And they have the rising trend line underneath it too. Like this one. That is the one. So you see that, you know, see how this is? That it has this pullback, but it has this rising trend line, and that's what I'm looking for mostly, is these stocks that are pulling back. So CLF is a good example of that type of pattern. You break out, you come back, and you tag it. But if you come back again and you see this X marks the spot. You have this rising trend line, pivot area here, pivot area here, pivot area here, pullback. That's where you want to buy. That rising trend line is so good. Now earnings, of course, helped that one. So now TWTR, not a fan, but I charted it out a couple days ago, and it just happened to, I was following this thing. I don't know if we're going to get down there, but apparently it had some earnings, and the earnings weren't that great. And look where it ended up going down. I didn't put this line in afterwards. I put this line in here a while ago, and I just tracked the stocks, and most of my charts have these, trend lines on it that I followed back in the day. To just stay on there, and they and look at this. Look at the rising trend line. I just noticed this one now from March, July, November, January, and look where we are. X marks the spot. But we're in the third day of a pullback. I'm not a big fan of this. I heard that Trump announced his social media platform today, so I don't know how that's going to affect Twitter. But it is on that trend line. I mean, there is something to be said about that. So we'll probably end up coming back and looking at that just to study it, And then the last one I want to go over today is Tesla. I know a lot of people were trading Tesla early this morning. It got down and then slowly had a hard time with that 666 level, and at the end of the day it just popped out of it. And so we can see what happens. I love Tesla down here too. I like the lower trend line, the rising trend line right here. Look at that. I mean, that was textbook, and it came right down to that rising trend line. Now, there's a bloodbath in tech tomorrow. This one will also be affected, but this is still one of the quality names that I feel like that still have more upside to go. And the same thing here with Google. I should have added to a Google position today on the pullback because it rallied at the end of the day like 40 points. It was like, let me see how many points it actually rallied here. It was up 58 points. It went from the lows to at this point at the close. 58-point rally. Cut to, it must have been down 100 points over the last couple days. So that was might have been an opportunity. So that's that. The PaySafe. Oh, let's take a look at the VTGN here. This is a drug company. It almost looked like it could have some follow through today. Well, why isn't this showing up? VTGN. Slowly grinding up. We'll see what happens tomorrow if we can get a further move here off of 269 higher. And again, we're also covering some of the cryptos here. Ethereum, just to give you an update. Ethereum 32.19 right now. 32.19. I was just looking around. Some other ones. We're going to be here early tomorrow. Maybe we get some pre-market runners and just see how the market is. Right now, again, the market here up about 2-3 points. It's at the highs of the session right now. You can see that green line. And we have the futures up all night. So if you want to, take a look at that, here's a nice divergence. Like I said, a nice divergence the bot just took. It's still in this trade, and it's following up with a trailing stop, and that's on the rock bot. And again, added to the members. Members get that rock bot. So you have that running 24/7 on the MES or the ES or any of the ES. And look at the market here, getting a little pop here. So it could be an interesting day tomorrow. If we come back, and ripping higher, it's gonna be a signal, that this market is pretty resilient and strong. Everything kind of points to follow through to the downside, but this market does not give you too many days in a row to the downside. So I gotta wait until the morning opens up and see where we stand with this. But if we could take out, today's highs, hold that 20 period moving average. There's no reason you can't believe that we're just going to continue to move higher on this, and we better buckle up. All right. So that's it on the update. Hope that got some news and some stuff out. I have a lot of stocks in front of me. But the watch list is out. Just again, refer to that if you want to look at any of these charts. I didn't go into the watch list because this will be a public video, but we have a lot of stocks on this week's watch list, which identify the buy zones the sell zones and the stops all charted out for you, all alerted for you. All right. Oh, I think I wrote down a couple other ones here. I wanted to take a look. Google, Riot. I just wanted to show you Riot. I know a lot of people into Riot, and I'm not a big fan of Riot, but Riot is starting to put into a nicer wedge pattern, and we're getting close to the lower wedge pattern here. And even if we break down, not to say this is a guaranteed popping topping stock, you have this setup down here. Again, people freak out if I told you that we might get down to this level. I don't know if we are, but here I'm just going to keep that trend line there. We're on a trend line right now. We could actually hold this tomorrow. We might see some things. I think we get down to the 200 period moving average on this. So just hands off for me on this type of trade. And all right, that's going to be it. I got to get set up for the movie night. It's 8:06, and I know people are probably in the room right now waiting to get going. So I'm going to do that. I'll send this on the way to when the movie is. This is DayTraderRockStar from DayTradingRadio.com. Signing off.